When the Phantom Fleet awoke, the Galactic Empire's mockery ended. HFY Sci-Fi Story Part 1. The Mockery, 770 words. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Empire buzzed with laughter. Ambassador Zarkonian stood at the center podium, his forearms gesturing dramatically as he spoke about the primitive humans, who had just discovered faster-than-light travel. "They sent us a message," Zarkonian said, his voice dripping with amusement. "These humans actually believe they deserve a seat in our council. Can you imagine? A species that took 300 years just to colonize their own solar system." The alien delegates roared with laughter. The Zircon representative slammed his tentacles on the table. The crystalline beings from Andromeda chimed in harmony. Their version of laughter. Sarah Chon watched from Earth's embassy screen, her jaw clenched tight. Beside her, Admiral Jung-hoon remained stone-faced, but his knuckles were white as he gripped the edge of the table. They had worked for decades to reach this moment, only to be treated like children at the adults' table. "Tell me, human ambassador," Zarkonian continued, looking directly at the screen, "what makes you think your species can contribute anything to our empire? We have conquered 1,000 systems. We have technology that makes your best ships look like toys. What could Earth possibly offer?" Sarah stood up slowly. She had prepared for hostility, but not this level of contempt. "We offer diversity of thought, new perspectives. Our history shows—" "Your history?" Zarkonian interrupted. "Your history is barely 5,000 years old. My species has records dating back millions of years. You are infants playing with dangerous tools." The laughter grew louder. Some delegates didn't even bother to hide their mockery. One threw a piece of fruit at the screen, causing more laughter, but then Sarah smiled. It was a small smile, but Jung-hoon noticed it. He had seen that smile before, when humanity had been underestimated. "You're right," Sarah said calmly. "We are young. We are new to space. But there's something you should know about humans, Ambassador Zarkonian." "Oh? Do tell us, little one." "We have a saying on Earth. It's not about how long you've been in the game. It's about how well you play it." Zarkonian waved dismissively. "Pretty words mean nothing. Power is what matters in this galaxy. And you have none." "Perhaps," Sarah said. "But before you dismiss us completely, maybe you should ask yourself something. If we're so primitive, so weak, so insignificant, then how did we detect your Phantom Fleet?" The laughter stopped instantly. The entire assembly all fell silent. Zarkonian's forearms froze mid-gesture. "What did you say?" His voice was no longer mocking. "The Phantom Fleet," Sarah repeated. "Your empire's greatest secret. 50,000 warships hidden in dark space, powered down for the last 100 years. Located at coordinates." She rattled off a series of numbers that made several delegates stand up in alarm. "That's impossible," Zarkonian shouted. "No one knows about—" He stopped himself, but it was too late. No one was supposed to know, Sarah corrected. "But humans are very good at finding things that are hidden. It's a survival trait we developed on our dangerous little world." Admiral Jung-hoon stepped forward. "We've known about your fleet for 3 years, Ambassador. We've been watching, learning, and we made some modifications." "Modifications?" Zarkonian's voice cracked. "Nothing harmful," Jung-hoon assured. "Just a few upgrades to their communication systems. Would you like to see?" Before anyone could respond, Jung-hoon pressed a button on his console. Suddenly, every screen in the assembly hall flickered to life. The Phantom Fleet appeared on display, 50,000 massive warships floating in the void. But something was different. Each ship now bore a new symbol alongside the Empire's crest, Earth's blue and green sphere. "We didn't steal them," Sarah explained calmly. "We just gave them a new subroutine. They now respond to human commands as well as yours. Consider it our application fee for joining the Council." The assembly erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in 12 different languages. Zarkonian's skin turned 3 different colors, a sign of extreme distress. "This is an act of war." He bellowed. "No," Sarah said firmly. "This is a demonstration. We could have activated those ships and used them against you. Instead, we're showing you that humanity brings something unique to your empire: innovation, determination, and the ability to see opportunities where others see impossibility." The mockery had ended. The real game was just beginning. 3 days had passed since the assembly. The Galactic Empire's High Command gathered in an emergency session. General Zircon paced back and forth, his massive form making the floor shake with each step. How did they do it? Zircon demanded. "Our best scientists say it's impossible to hack the Phantom Fleet's systems." Zarkonian sat slumped in his chair, his usual arrogance replaced by worry. The humans refused to explain their methods. "They say they'll only talk if we grant them full council membership." Unacceptable. Another delegate shouted. "We cannot bow to threats from primitives." Meanwhile, on Earth's moon base, Sarah Chun met with her team. Min Jun, the chief programmer, pulled up holographic displays showing the Phantom Fleet's status. "The Empire is panicking," Min Jun reported. "They've tried 17 different override codes. None of them work." C.O. Yan, the young engineer, grinned. "They still don't understand. We didn't hack their ships. We did something much simpler." Sarah nodded. "Sometimes the best solution isn't the most complex one. How's our little friend doing?" Min Jun pulled up another screen. "The AI is functioning perfectly. It thinks it's playing a game. This was humanity's secret. They hadn't broken through the Empire's incredible security. Instead, they had found an old maintenance port that everyone had forgotten about. Through it, they uploaded something unique, a gaming AI that Earth's children used for strategy games. To the AI, controlling the Phantom Fleet was just another puzzle to solve. Back at the Empire's command center, alarms suddenly blared. Every screen lit up with the same message. "Fleet activation detected." Zircon's eyes widened. "The humans are activating our ships." But something strange happened. The Phantom Fleet didn't attack. Instead, the 50,000 warships began an elaborate dance in space. They moved in perfect synchronization, creating patterns and formations that had never been seen before. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Then the ships formed words in space, visible from every inhabited planet in the Empire. "Humanity extends a hand in friendship." Zarkonian received a call from Sarah Chun. Her face appeared on the main screen, calm and professional. "Ambassador Zarkonian," she began. "We're not your enemies. We activated the fleet to show you something important. What could you possibly show us?" Zarkonian asked, though his tone had lost its mockery. "Watch," Sarah said simply. The Phantom Fleet suddenly scattered, each ship jumping to a different system. Within minutes, reports flooded in from across the Empire. The ships weren't attacking. They were defending. Pirates that had plagued trade routes for decades were being eliminated. Asteroid fields that threatened colonies were being cleared. Natural disasters on 12 different worlds were being managed by the fleet's advanced technology. In 1 hour, Sarah explained, "We've solved problems that your empire has ignored for centuries. Not because you couldn't fix them, but because you didn't see them as priorities." Zircon watched the reports in amazement. "How did you know about all these problems?" "We listened," Jung-hoon said, appearing beside Sarah. "While you were laughing at us, we were studying your empire. Every complaint from small colonies, every request for help that was denied, every problem deemed too minor for the empire's attention. We cataloged them all. Humans have a different perspective," Sarah continued. "You see the galaxy from the top, managing grand strategies and major threats. We see it from the bottom, where individual lives matter." Both views are important. The Phantom Fleet began returning to formation, their mission complete. Thousands of lives had been saved. Problems that had festered for decades were solved, and minutes.co-yeon appeared on screen, holding a tablet. We've received thank you messages from 47 colonies. They're asking why the Empire suddenly cares about them. Zarkonian stood slowly. For the first time, he looked at the humans without contempt. You could have used the fleet to conquer us. Why didn't you? Sarah smiled warmly. Because that's not who we are. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to improve it. We want to be partners, not conquerors. Besides, Jung-hoon added with a slight grin, conquest is easy. Making friends? That's the real challenge. The command center fell silent. Then, unexpectedly, Zircon began to laugh. Not mockingly, but with genuine appreciation. You clever little primates, he said. You've turned our greatest weapon into a tool for peace. So, Sarah asked, are you ready to reconsider our application? Zarkonian looked around the room at his fellow commanders. One by one, they nodded. Double quotes, I think, he said slowly. We need to call another assembly. This time, with very different intentions. Asterisk. The second assembly was different. This time, no one laughed when the human delegation appeared on screen. Sarah Chun and Admiral Jung-hoon stood tall, with Min-jun and Seo-yeon flanking them. The hall was packed with representatives from every corner of the Empire, but not everyone was impressed. Supreme Counselor Vermathis, ancient and powerful, rose from his crystalline throne. His species had founded the Galactic Empire 10,000 years ago. His voice echoed like breaking glass. Humans, he said coldly, you have shown cleverness, yes. But cleverness is not wisdom. You played with our fleet like children with toys. What happens when you face a real threat? Sarah stepped forward. What kind of threat, Supreme Counselor? Vermathis gestured, and a hologram appeared. It showed ships unlike anything in the Empire's fleet dark, twisted things that seemed to bend space around them. The Devourers, Vermathis announced. They come from beyond our galaxy. For 1,000 years, only the Empire's might has kept them at bay. They will return in force within the year. Can your cleverness stop them? The assembly murmured nervously. Even Zarkonian looked uncomfortable. The Devourers were the Empire's greatest fear. Show us your battle data, Jung-hoon requested. Vermathis laughed, a sound like shattering windows. Battle data? Young human, we don't fight the Devourers. We simply throw ships at them until they retreat. It costs us thousands of vessels each time. Min-jun whispered urgently to Sarah. She nodded and addressed the assembly. Give us access to your historical records about the Devourers. All of it. Why should we trust you with such sensitive information? Vermathis challenged. Because, Seo-yeon spoke up, surprising everyone with her confidence, you're losing. Your method isn't working. Each attack, the Devourers come closer. Each time, you lose more ships. In 10 years, maybe less, they'll break through. The hall fell silent. It was true, but no one had dared say it aloud. Vermathis narrowed his many eyes. Very well. You have 7 days. Show us this human innovation you speak of. The data transfer was massive. Millions of records, battle recordings, sensor data spanning centuries. The human team worked without rest. Min-jun barely slept, running simulations. Seo-yeon studied Devourer ship patterns until her eyes burned. Jung-hoon consulted with Earth's military strategists. Sarah coordinated everything. On the 5th day, they found it. Look at this. Min-jun shouted, pulling up a hologram. Everyone's been looking at what the Devourers do. But look at what they don't do. The pattern was subtle but clear. The Devourers never attacked certain systems. They always avoided specific trade routes. There was a logic to their movements that no one had noticed. They're not invaders, Co Yan realized. They single quotes migrating, like whales in Earth's oceans. They're following something. Following what? Sarah asked. Yung-hoon pulled up star charts. Dark matter currents. They match perfectly with the Devourer's paths. They're not trying to conquer us. They're trying to get somewhere, and we keep getting in their way. On the 7th day, humanity presented their findings to the assembly. The reaction was explosive. Impossible. Vermathis declared, "The Devourers are mindless destroyers." "Have you ever tried to communicate with them?" Sarah asked. Silence. "You haven't, have you?" She continued, "You assumed they were hostile because they looked frightening, because they didn't respond to your communications. But what if they simply communicate differently?" Min Jun stepped forward. "We've analyzed their ship emissions. What you thought was weapon charging is actually a form of communication. They're broadcasting on a frequency your instruments classify as background noise." He played an audio file. It sounded like static at first, then patterns emerged. Mathematical sequences. Prime numbers. The universal greeting of intelligence. "They've been trying to talk to you for 1,000 years, Sao Yo Yan said softly. "And you've been answering with weapons." Zarkonian stood up, shaken. "If this is true, double quotes, we've killed millions of potentially peaceful beings," Zircon finished, his voice hollow. "Maybe," Yung-hoon said. "Or maybe they were hostile at first. But they're trying to communicate now. The question is, what will you do about it?" Vermathis was silent for a long moment. Then he did something unprecedented. He bowed to the human delegation. "You have shown wisdom beyond your years, humans. If you can help us make peace with the Devours ... We'll try," Sarah promised. "But we'll need full council membership to do it. We need authority to act on the Empire's behalf." The vote was unanimous. Even Vermathis voted yes. As the assembly ended, Zarkonian approached the screen. "You've changed everything in just 7 days. What are you humans, really?" Sarah smiled. "We're problem solvers, Ambassador. And we're just getting started." Asterisk, the modified communication ship, Eclipse, hung in empty space, far from any inhabited system. Sarah stood on the bridge, surrounded by both human and alien crew members. This was the designated meeting point. If Min Jun's calculations were correct, the Devourers would pass through here in 6 hours. "Still think this is insane," Zircon muttered. He had volunteered to come, wanting to see these peaceful Devourers himself. "Most great ideas seem insane at first," Yung-hoon replied, checking the weapon systems. They were powered down but ready, just in case. SEO-YEON fine-tuned the communication array. They had built it based on the Devourer's frequency, adding human music, mathematical proofs, and even art. If they're intelligent, they'll recognize we're trying to connect. Min Jun monitored sensors. "Remember, no sudden movements when they arrive. We think they see through gravitational waves, not light. To them, our ships probably look like ripples in space." Zarkonian paced nervously. "What if you're wrong? What if they attack?" "Then we run," Sarah said simply. "But I don't think we're wrong." The weight was tense. Then, exactly when predicted, space began to bend. The Devourer ships emerged massive dark forms that seemed to twist reality around them. There were hundreds of them, each one dwarfing the Eclipse. "Broadcasting now," Co Yan announced, her voice steady despite her fear. For a moment, nothing happened. The Devourer fleet hung motionless. Then one ship moved forward. It was smaller than the others, almost delicate in its construction. "It's beautiful," Zircon whispered, forgetting his fear. The ship stopped just outside weapons range. Then it began to pulse a rhythm that matched the mathematical sequence humanity had sent. They're responding. Min Jun shouted, recording everything. The pulsing became more complex. Images formed in the gravitational wave star maps, showing a path across the galaxy. The Devourer's journey. Sarah understood first. They're showing us where they're going. It's outside our galaxy. They're passing through, just like we thought. The alien ship pulsed again. New images appeared. The Devourers fighting Empire ships. Then, surprisingly, images of the Devourers trying to go around Empire space, only to be pursued and attacked. They tried to avoid us, Zarkonian said, his voice filled with shame. We kept chasing them, thinking we were defending our territory. Yung-Hoon noticed something else. Look at their course. If we let them pass, they'll be through Empire space in 3 months. They're almost done with their journey. The communication continued for hours. The Devourers showed images of their homeworld, a place where gravity itself was alive, where thought existed in the bending of space-time. They showed their history, their art, their children. Then came the hard part. Images of Empire ships destroying Devourer vessels. Thousands of their people, dying in confusion, not understanding why they were being attacked. We need to apologize, Sarah said. She looked at Zarkonian and Zircon. The Empire needs to apologize. Zarkonian hesitated, then stepped forward. He activated the communication system and began to speak. Seo Yan translated his words into gravitational pulses. He spoke of fear, of misunderstanding, of regret. He asked for forgiveness. The response was immediate. The Devourer ship moved closer. A small object detached and floated toward the eclipse. Yung-Hoon tensed, but Sarah held up a hand. Let it come. The object phased through their hull. It existed partially outside normal space. It materialized on their bridge, a perfect sphere that bent light around it. Inside, visible only through gravitational sensing, was a message. Min Jun decoded it quickly. It's a gift. Instructions for gravitational communication. And something else. Medical data? They're showing us how to treat gravitational injuries. They know some of our people were hurt in the conflicts. They're forgiving us, Seiyan said, tears in her eyes. After everything, they're forgiving us. The Devourer fleet began to move, continuing their ancient journey. But the small ship remained. They're leaving an ambassador, Sarah realized. They want to maintain contact. As the main fleet departed, passing peacefully through Empire space for the first time in 1,000 years, Formathis' image appeared on screen. He had been watching everything. Humans, he said, his ancient voice filled with emotion. You have ended a war we didn't even know we were fighting wrong. You have turned enemies into friends. The Empire is forever in your debt. We're not done yet, Sarah replied. This is just the beginning. There's a whole universe out there, full of species we haven't met. Imagine what we could learn if we approached them with curiosity instead of fear. Zircon laughed, a booming sound. You humans don't think small, do you? Never have, Yung-Hoon grinned. Never will. 1 year later, the Galactic Council chambers looked completely different. Human engineers had redesigned the space to accommodate dozens of new species. Where once there were only seats for Empire members, now there were water tanks for aquatic beings, gravitational fields for the Devourer's ambassador, and even quantum spaces for energy-based life forms. Sarah Chun stood at the central podium, no longer as Earth's ambassador, but as the Council's first mediator, a position created specifically for humanity's unique role in the new galactic order. The quarterly report, she began, looking out at the incredibly diverse gathering. Trade between the Empire and the Devourer Collective has exceeded all projections. The gravitational technology exchange has revolutionized travel. Journey times have been cut by 70%. Zarkonian, now working closely with humans as Director of Interspecies Relations, added his report. The Phantom Fleet has been repurposed entirely. Half serves as a rapid response force for natural disasters. The other half explores beyond our galaxy, making contact with new civilizations. We found 17 species in the last 6 months alone. Min Jun, Earth's Chief Technology Integration Officer, pulled up holographic displays. The gaming AI we used to control the Phantom Fleet? We've developed it further. It now helps species understand each other through play. Conflicts that once might have led to war are being resolved through strategic games. The Zircon crystalline border dispute? Solved through a tournament. No casualties, the assembly murmured appreciatively. Vermathis, despite his great age, had embraced the changes completely. Young humans, he said, though now the term was affectionate rather than dismissive. You've accomplished more in 1 year than the Empire did in 1,000. How? Seo Yun, now barely 25 and the youngest council member ever, stood up. Because we didn't try to control everything. We connected things. We're not the strongest, or the smartest, or the oldest. But we're really good at bringing others together. Jung Hoon, promoted to Admiral of the Reformed Fleet, presented the military transformation. We've shifted from a conquest model to a protection model. The fleet now focuses on keeping trade routes safe, responding to emergencies, and exploration. Military enrollment has actually increased. Beings want to serve when the mission is helping rather than conquering. A new figure entered the chamber, or rather manifested. The Devourer Ambassador, whom the humans had nicknamed Ripple, created gravitational words in the air. Min Jun translated, "The Devourers have decided to establish a permanent embassy here. Our journey continues, but many of us wish to stay and learn. Humanity has shown us that understanding is possible between any species." Sarah smiled. "And that brings us to today's main announcement." She paused, looking around the room. Earth is proposing the establishment of the Galactic Academy, a place where all species can send their young to learn together. Not just science and technology, but art, philosophy, and most importantly, how to understand beings different from themselves. Where would this academy be located? Vermathis asked. Everywhere, Sarah replied. It would be a fleet of ships, constantly traveling. Students would learn while journeying through different systems, experiencing various cultures firsthand. The Phantom Fleet's technology, combined with Devourer gravitational drives, would make it possible. The vote was unanimous in favor. After the session ended, Zarkonian approached Sarah privately. "A year ago, I mocked your species as primitive. I was such a fool." "No," Sarah said kindly. "You were afraid. Fear of the unknown is natural. We humans had to overcome it too. We just learned to do it faster, because our world gave us no choice. What's next for humanity?" He asked. "What grand plan do you have now?" Sarah looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "We've received signals from beyond our local galaxy cluster, mathematical patterns that suggest intelligence. The journey would take years, even with our best technology. You're going to try anyway, aren't you?" "Of course," Sarah grinned. "But not alone. We're going together, Empire, Devourers, humans, and anyone else who wants to join. That's what humans bring to the galaxy, Zarkonian. Not conquest, not domination, but the crazy belief that everyone has something valuable to offer." Min Jun and Seo Yun joined them, holding tablets with star charts. "The preparations are beginning," Min Jun reported. "The first expedition ships will be ready in 3 years. Jung Hoon arrived with news from Earth. The planet is celebrating. Children are already signing up for the academy, even though it won't open for 2 years. They're calling this the beginning era." As they stood together, human and alien, former enemies now friends, Sarah felt proud of how far they'd come. The mockery that had greeted humanity's arrival seemed like ancient history now. You know what the best part is? S.O. Yan said, "This is just the beginning. Imagine where we'll be in another year, or 10, or 100. The Phantom Fleet, once a symbol of the Empire's military might, now carried a different message as it patrolled the stars. United in diversity, exploring together, the galaxy would never be the same."